Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Turin here with another Warhammer Total War Live Battlecast. In this particular game, we are going to play the Dwarves against the Wood Elves, so definitely a classic matchup. We're going to get two runesmiths. For one, we'll have the full suit, including the Master Rune of Grungni. The second one is just going to have the Rune of Wrath and Rune to help deal with Cav Harass. And of course, it is another heroic unit with 120 armor and 320 weapon strength. Though he doesn't have armor piercing, it's not a huge deal against the Elves. So on top of that, we're going to get the Warriors for Dragonfire Pass and 3 groups of Dwarf Warriors for the front line. With High King Thorgrim and his Book of Grudges, these guys really put up a pretty darn good fight. We're going to get the Grumbling Guard as well as another group of Longbeards with great weapons, just in case he goes a tree build. Because if I don't bring these type of armor-piercing troops in the front line, these Dwarf Warriors are going to have a really hard time getting through the trees, with the exception of the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass with their flaming attacks, which would be pretty nice. So on top of that, we're going to get 2 cannons. This is a pretty open field map, so thankfully there's not going to be any Wood Elf shenanigans going on. And then let's see what else. So we're going to go with actually 3 groups of Quarrelers. We're going to play the missile game. Quarrelers, they're armored, they're shielded, very resilient against Wood Elf missile fire. And also, most of the Wood Elf armor-piercing missiles, aside from Waystalkers, can actually punish these guys pretty well, but they're very expensive. These guys are very resilient because they have magic resist. So if you look here, 25% on top of being pretty heavily armored and shielded, definitely cannot complain. So on top of that, we're going to get a group of Slayers, and now we have a little bit left, so we're going to get a group of Miners just for fodder. I mean, they don't serve a general purpose against the Wood Elves other than just to probably park them next to the cannons with a group of Slayers, and the Miners can take the charge and the Slayers can come in and clean up. So that's kind of the general plan, or whether it be the cannons or the Quarrelers, we'll see what we need to protect here. So I think we're good to go. We're ready to party, and hopefully my opponent is almost ready here, but he is playing the Wood Elves. Definitely a great matchup. I like using the Flame Cannons here also. The Flame Cannons are pretty good against like the elf-centric builds. So if he goes with like a lot of Eternal Guards and things like that, they can be good. But the Cannons, I feel, are a little bit more well-rounded. They punish Dirthu, they punish the trees. They can do okay against the missile troops at a greater distance. So you can start pressuring them quite a bit earlier, but the Flame Cannons can really be exciting. But look how much more expensive they are. And honestly, I don't know if they're worth it, but darn, they are fun. I mean, you guys saw when the Wood Elves DLC first came out, I was using them quite a bit, so you guys know how awesome they are. I don't need to explain it to you guys, but the Goblobber isn't terrible either. It does do a nice little leadership hit, which I don't know if it's worth it against the Wood Elves, simply because the Wood Elf, even their low-tier infantry units, have extremely high leadership. So the reason I haven't clicked start battle yet is because I was just in the lobby with this guy, and I started the game, and I don't think he was ready yet, so I'm giving him a little bit more time here. So High King Thorgrim, obviously a pretty good choice, and what's nice about him, something else, is that, of course he has the magic resistance of the DAWI. He has not missile resistance as well, but on top of that, he's like a large unit. So again, he's not going to get knocked around. So if they come in with like a Glade Lord or something like that, if it's like a Grom Brindle or someone, they can get like knocked out of your formation into the enemy line and then just get cut to pieces. So I actually like that. That's another hidden perk of the Grudge Bearer here. So we'll go ahead and start the battle. Looks like my opponent's ready. Let's have some fun, and hope you guys enjoy this one. But yeah, the cannons are great. Good utility against Dirthu. Wild Riders aren't the best against the Dwarves since they don't have armor piercing, but still, I think it's worth bringing a group of shielded Wild Riders. I usually do in my matchup versus the Dwarves, simply because having mobility and the kind of the resources to harass the back line is very useful. Hawk Riders can be okay because they do have 45 armor piercing weapon damage, but still they have like 15 armor or something really low. So if they land in sustained combat versus Dwarves or Dwarf Warriors even, they're going to get cut up pretty good, and Quarrelers can just punish them. So, again, it's a little tricky, but I like the Wildwood Rangers a lot in this matchup. I feel like they're really good. And I actually, sometimes I don't even bother with missile units. I might get like 2 groups of Waystalkers to focus down, heroic units, or just snipe out, their lords. But other than that, there's a bunch of different builds that Wood Elves have. So we're going to split these guys up a little bit simply because we don't want to worry about the Arrow of Kurnus. Sometimes, and also if they fly on the side and do like a side angle, if they're right next to each other, it can actually go through and do quite a bit of damage. So splitting them up is a pretty good idea. So aside from that, we're going to get our Dwarf Warriors in the front line like so. On top of that, we're going to get our Grumbling Guard. We'll probably actually get our missile troops right behind them. So these guys will be right here. And all right, so far so good. And actually another strategy you can do is we could actually do it right now. So let's actually play it this way. So we're going to put our Quarrelers in the front line here because obviously, he's not going to be aggressing on me too heavily, and if he does, I can just pull them back. And then the Dwarf Warriors are going to be deployed behind them. And what I'll do is obviously just pull back the Quarrelers once they, get in the danger zone. So we're going to put the 2 armor-piercing troops back here. So this will be like the area where the Quarrelers will pull back to. And it's also nice because you're keeping the Grumbling Guard kind of out of harm's way. So this is going to be our main formation here. We're going to get High King Thorgrim in the front here. We're going to get Runesmith here and a Runesmith here. So that's looking pretty good so far. We do have our 2 cannons, and we're probably going to just leave a group of Miners, to be honest, back here to help defend. And then the group of Slayers obviously can be group 2. And let's go ahead and lock this group up so they're ready to deploy. And we do have an extra group of Dwarf Warriors that we might actually just leave an auxiliary. So we'll see what he's doing in terms of you know, pressuring our back line, because if we leave 3 troops here, we should be fine. And let's actually position a little to the side so we don't obstruct when we move forward. I've been kind of guilty of doing that quite a bit. So he is deployed over here. He does have the Glade Lord, he has Eternal Guard, so an elf build, so the flame cannons would have been pretty decent here. But we're going to engage and just start shooting. I don't mind just shooting at these Eternal Guard for now. I mean, they're all that's in range, really. So we'll just start shooting at them, and we'll start focusing the Wildwood Rangers as soon as we can. So I really like his build. I like the fact that the Wildwood Rangers are in, you know, pretty strong numbers, so we're going to have to focus them down. We're probably going to bring this extra group of Dwarf Warriors because I don't think he has anything else. So we'll put them in group 4 and just kind of move them up here. The cannons are getting in there, doing some pretty good work. You know, killed 4 models. Definitely can't complain about that. I could focus his Glade Lord, but if he's on top of microing it and flies it, you know, side to side, it's not going to get many kills. But look at the damage we're doing here. Already, you know, reaping pretty good results. So we're just going to switch to these Wildwood Rangers now that they're in range and just set up here. And the Quarrelers, if I can protect them, are going to do pretty well. So we're also going to pull the Slayers over here. Not the Slayers, excuse me, the Miners, and pull them up with the main army because we need, you know, all the bodies we can get essentially to kind of zone these guys out. And he's approaching pretty rapidly here. His Glade Lord is coming in. So the Slayers, we're just going to park right on these cannons, like in between the 2 of them, and just, you know, do our thing from there. So the Glade Lord, I don't think it's very heavily. Actually, it has 70 armor, which isn't bad, but we're doing some good work here. So let's actually just park right here. We'll get these guys firing. We don't want them to shoot the shielded version, obviously. So we want these guys here. We want these guys right here. And it looks like he does have a Waystalker as well. So we're just going to shoot at those Wildwood Rangers until they're in range. We'll get these Dwarf Warriors in the wing here. Let's actually keep these Miners back here to help out with that guy. So we're getting some good fire. You can see we're just doing some serious damage over here in the back line to these Wildwood Rangers, which is quite nice. You can see the cannons continue to shoot in. So let's actually shoot it to one of the further groups now, and just, you know, because these guys are going to be engaged pretty shortly here. So we need to pull back right now. So we're going to pull these guys back. These Dwarf Warriors, we're going to pull over in the wings here, and these guys will keep right here to kind of help defend. So the Quarrelers are pulling back. They did some serious damage, though. Look at the kind of wear and tear they've already performed on those units. We're going to use a Ruined Wrathner here, and we're also going to use one right here. So you can see the Waystalker shooting in, so let's make sure to get our charge. We're going to shoot here, and we're going to go here as well. We're going to pull this guy right here, and use these Miners probably to absorb here. We're going to pull these guys here, and these guys over here. All right, so far so good. So we're just going to get our Quarrelers online and just start shooting at these guys again, just pressuring those guys as much as we can, and we're going to use this. Also, we need to check our Runesmith, make sure to use all the appropriate buffs here, just keep fighting, and we're doing some really good work with our Quarrelers. They're just absolutely pimping it. So it looks like he might try and flank here, which is fine. You know, he's going to go for the cannons as well, but we might actually just pull Slayers and go for these guys, because the Slayers will do a good job tearing up Eternal Guards. We do have several units of troops coming, but I'm probably going to lose versus those ones. Hiking Thorgrim needs to be careful here. And the Quarrelers are doing very well also. So let's actually switch them and have them start shooting onto these ones here. And these Wildwood Rangers can keep getting shot here. We'll keep these Dwarf Warriors to protect. And now that he's kind of in melee, we're just going to switch the cannons onto his Lord, which I think will be a bit of a better pick. So we almost have the Rune of Wrath and Rune. We want to make sure to use it on the high value guys right here. And you can see these 2 groups of Quarrelers doing a very good job. Let's go ahead and shoot that healthy group over there, and we'll go ahead and engage there. So far, so good. So we're going to pull the Slayers back to re-engage these guys, and we're going to get these guys going over there as well. One mistake I did make already that I'd like to point out is the fact that I don't have... Oh, he might go for Thorgrim here, which is pretty dicey. So we'll pull this Runesmith back, and he is taking cannon fire, which is nice. You can actually see he's getting stunned up pretty good. So let's actually put Thorgrim like right over here and see where he decides to go. And we'll keep the Runesmith nearby as well. And this Runesmith, we need to go ahead and use a buff there, which is fine. So we're going to pull these Dwarf Warriors over to the flank here, and look at his Lord just taking that fire like a champ. So we're getting some good work in there. Definitely, we laid the smackdown in terms of missile fire on his heroic units. And the Slayers, you know, they're doing pretty well against the Wildwood Rangers, believe it or not. But his Lord isn't taking as much damage as I would like, unfortunately. And Thorgrim is doing a good job pumping these troops in the front line. These Dwarf Warriors, let's see where we're losing. So even the Miners are holding up well, but right here he does have a pretty high troop density. And over here, yeah, his Lord is taking a beating, so that's pretty great. Definitely loving the DAWI missile support right now. They're doing some serious work, and you know, I think Quarrelers are great in this matchup. They're really, really good. I mean, you can play the DAWI Death Star. It's definitely, you know, viable, but you know, I think in this particular situation, we kind of have a good recipe right here. And the cannons, like I said, you know, even though he didn't bring trees, yeah, look at that. They're able to break that guy really quickly. So we're going to finish off those Wildwood Rangers there. Let's go ahead and find another group we can shoot at. So we'll shoot at these Eternal Guards here. And are these guys breaking? Yeah, they're broken. So, okay, so that's fine. So we can go ahead and collapse here. We can collapse here. And let's keep the Slayers back by the cannons in case some of his, like, loose units are able to sneak through. And I think he was sniping his Runesmith with his Lord over there, but we should be able to keep him off the battlefield. So Hiking Thorgrim is taking those missile fire from the Waystalkers, which is fine. Let's keep these guys engaged here. And the Wildwood Rangers are good, but you need to supplement them with squishy units. Having them engage like that against those troops, I think, is a little bit risky because they are very low armor. So if he had mixed them in with the Eternal Guards, I think they could have lasted longer. And I don't know if he brought Lore of Life. You know, I don't know if I saw that there, so maybe that's something we'll have to look at in the screen here. So let's take a look. But again, you know, it's a straight to business army. Everything has armor piercing, like heavy duty. So, you know, on paper, it's pretty good. I think maybe if they had engaged together, like in the front, and then had like Earthblood or something going, it could have been a much better trade. But the cannons, Quarrelers, you saw how much damage they did to these Wildwood Rangers. So they would definitely fall victim to focused missile fire. Slayers are a good chip pick, and you know, even the miners. I mean, they held their own in the front line with the good leadership. And Thorgrim really brings the best out of his fellow DAWI. With the melee attack buff, makes him much better, you know, at trading effectively. Cannons applied good pressure. That you guys saw, they did good work against the Eternal Guard and then also the Wildwood Rangers when we switched. And even though they don't make the best contact with enemy Lord, you know, as he was retreating, he was taking cannon fire, which is very good at kind of you know, sealing the deal. So. Anyways, very well played to my opponent, Total Edge. I look forward to seeing you again on Ladder, and I hope you guys enjoyed that DAWI cast. Have an excellent night, and take care.